No, just kidding. Why aren't you laughing? This is a question I often ask myself when every now and then I'll get a flurry of comments that are very upset that I used a mocking tone or I told some kind of a joke that they didn't appreciate and all that kind of thing. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, that was one of the very first criticisms of my YouTube channel that I ever received from a personal friend. He was a friend at the time. He's since disowned me. But he said that I just was having too much fun. I was laughing too much. And I don't understand why everyone's trying to rob me of my joy. I enjoy this YouTube channel. I like keeping things a little lighthearted. I've said it many times that the content that I do, it's deadly serious. I mean, there's just no question about it. It's dead serious. But why wouldn't you be laughing? I mean, here's the thing. God's laughing. The Lord is sitting in the heavens right now, and he's laughing at the insanity of the rebellion against him. Why wouldn't you join him in that laughter? Think about how stupid this is. Hold on one second. Here's my son. All right. Anyway, so think about this. Like, imagine if a bunch of ants, kind of came up to you. They walked up to you, and they said, "Hey, we're going to take you out." And they just started squirming around in their ant ways, and they're shaking their fist at you, and we're going to get you. Like, that would be hilarious, right? And multiply that times infinity, and that's what rebellion against God is like. Think about how stupid this is. You hate the Lord, who is all-powerful. He could squash you in an instant. And this Lord is also good. He's a good Lord. It's not like he's oppressive. It's not like he's mean. He's a good guy. And it's like, you still are rebelling against, and he's laughing at that. It's pathetic. It's absolutely, they've got their little schemes and their little conspiracies, and it's just so adorable. I mean, how could you not laugh? You think about all the schemes of Joe Biden and all, the CNN and all the idiots in the Great Reset movement and all. It is hilarious. Now, there's some danger there, but it is hilarious. Now, this is the kind of criticism that I think holds a little bit more weight with some people. This is Tim Keller here, and he is going to say that if you're always mocking, then that's a spiritual problem, and you really are in spiritual danger. This has a little bit more weight, so let's kind of break this down, because I think that there's a lot of unspoken assumptions here that really need to be kind of spoken. We need to talk about them, because I think Tim Keller's trying to appear wise here, but he actually misses the mark. Here's what Tim Keller has to say. Dear those on social media, God sometimes mocks, and some things deserve it. Yet those who habitually and constantly mock, who sit in the seat of mockers, are in great spiritual danger. Now, there's some truth here, right? There's definitely some truth here, because if your life is constant mockery, I would say that's a problem. But here's something that Tim reveals here that I think is also a problem as well, because he admits that God sometimes mocks. We see that. He laughs at his enemies, right? And so he admits that certain things deserve mockery. So Tim, where is your mockery? Why are you making friends with the world instead of mocking the world? You see, that's the thing. It's like, you mock too much. And I could easily turn that around and say, you don't mock enough. And see, so that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, notice how he frames this. Those on social media. So he's addressing this to a very specific subset of people. Now, let's continue for a second, because I think what ends up happening here is he kind of reveals his cards here a little bit, because he understands that this kind of YouTube channel, the one that I'm doing, it actually works, and he's trying to stop the bleeding here. Tim, it's not going to work, buddy. I have a problem with what you're trying to do here, and the problem is that it's not going to work, and we're going to show you why in just a second. Here's what it says. He says, mockers nurture high pride in themselves, which appears knowing and sophisticated, but actually ruins relationships and cuts them off from the truth that only the humble discover. To see through everything is the same as to not see, which I guess is a C.S. Lewis quote. Preachers and teachers who engage in a great deal of mockery toward their opponents, instead of speaking the truth in love, often nurture an abusive spirit that brings down their own ministries in disgrace. There's some truth here. I mean, this is why I think this is actually an effective way to kind of criticize a guy like me, but we'll talk about this. Let me just finish it. He says there are many on social media whose main goal, stance, and practice is to mock and deride the people whose positions they oppose. But this is spiritually dangerous for them, and it accomplishes nothing for their side. God mocks proud mockers, but shows favor to the humble and the oppressed. Love you all. So here's the reality. What he actually is saying, well, God mocks, and some things are worthy of mockery, but what he wants is for social media people to not mock. So he actually wants to go the other way. No mocking whatsoever, because God mocks proud mockers. And if you're a mocker, you're a proud mocker, and you need to be humble all the time. There's no room for mockery here. Now, here's the other thing, too. He's talking about social media. So if you take this into consideration, any kind of comedian on social media, that's a no-go, because all they do on social media is mock, because that's what a comedian does. Comedians mock things about life, people, activities, things like that. That's the job of a comedian. So no comedians, according to Tim Keller. Yeah, God's laughing, but don't you dare join him. Don't you dare join. See, this is the thing. What people do on social media is not their whole life, Tim. I mean, this might be hard to believe, but it's not their whole life. And so if I have a comedy channel, for example, all you're going to see on social media is comedy, me joking around and laughing and mocking and satire and stuff like that. Does that have anything to do with how much my life is involved in mockery and satire and joking? No, it doesn't, Tim. Likewise, I might have a news channel. What if I have a news channel? I'm just reporting the news every day. Does that mean that that's all I do because my social media presence is only news? Like, this is the people aren't one-dimensional, and I've always wondered this about people. Like, you're just always angry. How do you know that? You see a 20-minute video from me every day in which I'm not even always angry in those videos, right? So how could you possibly know what I'm always am? Don't you think, like, my pastor is involved in my life and keeping tabs on me, making sure that I'm not only this one-dimensional? Obviously not. It's just so crazy to me that Tim Keller thinks he can look into your soul based on your social media and say, well, you just constantly, you're in spiritual danger. How about you save that for my pastor, Tim? You're not the world's pastor, as much as you might want to be. Why don't you save the spiritual analysis of my life for my pastor? Or do you not trust the power of God? You see, this is the problem here. It's like, God sometimes mocks, but I don't want to see the mockery online because that's not Christ-like. Well, if it's not Christ-like, then why is he doing it? Right now, he's sitting in the heavens laughing, and I'm laughing with him, and I'm not apologizing for that. And even if my YouTube channel was just mockery, which sometimes people say that, Tim's never said that. Tim Keller's never acknowledged me. But some people do say that all I do is mock. It's not true. But even if it was all I did on YouTube, they would have absolutely zero idea if that's all I do in my life. It obviously isn't. But if you really are concerned with me, there's a few commenters that often say this kind of stuff about me. And if you really were concerned about my spiritual well-being, which I don't believe you, but if you were, feel free to message me. I will send you my pastor's number, and you can talk his ear off about how bad of a guy I am and see what he's doing in my life to make sure that I'm on the straight and narrow and I'm in the faith and all this kind of stuff. But, if you don't care and you just want to take pot shots, go ahead and write social media posts like this. Tim Keller loves this. This is the wisdom signaling. I think did J.D. Hall come up with that wisdom signaling? I think it was J.D. Hall. Okay. That's what this is. It's a big time wisdom signal. Oh, is this a spiritual danger? Yeah, of course. If all you do is mock and you don't do anything else, yeah, that's spiritual danger, right? But here's where I would have to say, Tim, I highly doubt you're actually mocking people behind the scenes. You never mock, so why are you so one-dimensional? Why aren't you actually following the entire example of Christ? Why don't you mock the enemies of your Lord instead of trying to make friends with them so that they'll invite you on CNN? Anyway, I also wanted to talk about risk and safety because YouTube is banning all content that has anything to say about vaccines, not being safe or whatever and stuff like that. And this is something that I talked about last night on Reformed Jellicle. It's like, how do you know? What does it mean that something's safe, right? How do you know if something's safe? And basically, it's like things are safe compared to other things. Like, there's nothing that's like totally safe. Everything has a risk associated with it. So like, you might ask, is it safe to drive a car? Well, I mean, yeah, depending on the circumstances, and compared to other things, it might be more or less safe. Like, everything's in comparison to something else. So if somebody says that something is safe, the question that you should be asking, compared to what? Yeah, driving a car is safe, but there's risks involved there. So if I'm going to work and need to make a living and I have to drive to my job, well, the risks associated with driving that car, which I would generally say is pretty safe, it's worth it to go to work to earn money so that I can eat and I can feed my family and stuff like that. But if it's raining and it's a windstorm, it's a hurricane, maybe it's no longer worth that risk. Or it might be. Maybe I have to go to the hospital. Like my friend over here, he's had a heart attack and it's a hurricane and it's raining. Well, normally I wouldn't take that risk. It's not necessarily the safest thing in the world, but because I have to get to the hospital, my friend's life is in danger, all of a sudden, it's more safe to do that than to stay home. Like, it's just, everything is in comparison to other things, and it's individualized. Like, you can't say that a vaccine is just safe and leave it at that. What you have to say is it's safe for a certain group or pretend in certain situations. And the thing is, nobody can make that decision for you, right? I can't make that decision for you. You know who else can't make that decision for you? Your doctor can't make that decision for you. Only you can make that decision if a benefit of something is worth the risk. Don't look at Dan Darling or Tim Keller or Matt Chandler or whoever these guys are. Don't let them tell you what is safe. You have to do your own cost-benefit analysis. You have to do your own risk analysis based on your own personal situation, your own beliefs, your own morality, and all that kind of stuff, according to God's law, of course. I mean, you can't break God's law. And then you make that determination. So YouTube saying, well, we're going to decide what safe is and what true is, that's a big problem. And so we have to understand that you're in the driver's seat there. Your doctor works for you. I've told this story. My doctor, went to him earlier this year, and he's asking me questions. It's the first time I saw him because he's a new doctor. And he's like, well, do you smoke? And I was like, well, I don't really smoke. He goes, what do you mean not really? I said, well, I might have a cigar once a month. You know what I mean? Probably not even once a month, but, let's just to be safe, once a month. And he looks at his little chart that tells him what to say, and he says, well, I got to recommend the pneumonia vaccine. This is important because you might get pneumonia from smoking cigars. And I'm like, well, I don't really smoke that much. And he's like, why? Like, why? I'm under 40. I'm healthy. Why would I get this vaccine? I mean, it's not that big a deal. He goes, well, it's recommended. And I said, well, thank you for your concern. I'm going to pass on that. He works for you. He's a counselor. He's an advisor. He has training and he has things that he has to say and stuff. He's an advisor, nothing more. Your doctor is not an authority in your life. You're an authority in your life. And you got to apply that to your kids as well. When your doctor recommends something for your child, you're the authority. You're in charge of your kids, not your doctor. Your doctor is an advisor, and you can listen to him, and there's wisdom in listening to counselors. But at the end of the day, you're in charge of deciding what safe is. You're in charge of taking risks and making sure that they're worth it. The benefits outweigh the cost. Is the vaccine safe? Well, compared to what? You can't just say it's safe. Compared to what? Is it safer than getting coronavirus? Well, in my opinion, it isn't. Maybe it's safe in general, but I'd rather have the coronavirus. I mean, what are you going to do about that? Anyway, I hope you found this podcast video. It's a video. Yeah, I forgot to do a podcast this week. I just thought of that. Oh, well. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. God bless, and keep laughing, everybody. This is a great time to serve the Lord. I want to leave you with this. I'm sorry, I'm not ending yet. I want to leave you with this. There's never been a better time to be on the Lord's side than this time. God made you to live through this time, and you ought to be grateful. This is a great time to serve God because the challenges could not be less nuanced than they are right now. It is so clear. The things that He's commanded us to do are so simple. I mean, the things that the world is challenging against God are so idiotic, it's unbelievable. Like, guys, you have to be a rebel almost to go to church. And it's like, go to church. That's so easy. Go to church on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to serve the Lord. His yoke, his burden is light. That's what he said. I had a brother yesterday say, God said his burden is light. I'm inclined to believe him. And I think that it's never been more clear what faithfulness looks like than it is right now in this day and age. God bless you guys. Have a good time this weekend. Laugh a lot. Fight and feast. I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.